Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're in the kitchen again tonight, and tonight we are making a hot pepper and mozza risotto. This is characterized by an awful lot of mozzarella cheese, a hint of tomato sauce, and quite a lot of spice. You can adjust the spice based on your personal preference. So risotto is delicious and easy to make. This version uses hot pepper flakes and mozzarella cheese to make it smooth and tasty. And it only takes about 25-30 minutes to prepare. You can make a slightly larger batch to serve as your main course if you like. Now, you can use other types of rice other than the arborio rice I'm going to use. A short-grained rice, like arborio, is ideal. If you have to use another type of rice, it won't exactly be the risotto you might want, but it'll still be a tasty dish and definitely worth making. But arborio or another short-grained rice if you have the opportunity. All right, let's get started. Now, we are going to do quite a lot of time-lapsing in this video, mostly because there's going to be a lot of stirring. There's a lot of stirring, and watching the stirring can be very annoying. So, we are going to start going through the steps, and eventually we will have risotto. So, first thing you want to do, you want 2 cups of veggie broth in a pot. That's what I have off to the side. You can't see it very well because I've got it more angled to capture the pan, but broth. So we have broth off to the side, 2 cups. To that, we are going to add 2.5 cups of water. Okay, keep that down at a simmer. You want to make sure that it is warm, but still decently, decently warm, but not boiling. If it's boiling, it's going to boil down and you're going to run out. So, veggie broth. Okay, that's what you're going to want. Now, you want to make sure you're not adding a bunch of cold water to this at some point, because if you have to add more water because you need more liquid, you're going to add hot water. You don't want this to end up cold because otherwise that will stop cooking. Okay, so nice low heat, just keep that warmed up. Now we are going to melt about 1/4 cup of butter in a saucepan. Okay, you don't need a huge pan, just a kind of a medium size saucepan, and you're going to heat that over medium heat, maybe just this side of medium low. And we are going to add to this, you can chop up some onion and some garlic if you like. If you don't like the texture of onion and garlic, you can instead use, for example, if you would like to use garlic powder, maybe you want to use onion powder, maybe you want to use dehydrated onions, maybe you'd rather use like minced onions or minced garlic instead of chopping them yourself. That's fine. Any onion and garlic nonsense. But here we go. We are going to use onion powder and garlic powder because I have a texture sensitive son. So we're not going to add too much, but you can add this to taste. So, maybe if you love onion, you might add quite a lot. But you can actually add the onion and the garlic instead of adding powders. This is up to you. The flavor profile will still be similar. It's mostly a texture thing. Okay. If we had actual onion and garlic in here, we would wait for that to go translucent. But we're not worried about that. So I am adding 1.5 cups of arborio rice. Now, arborio rice is short-grained. It is easy to use, easy to make into risotto because that's what it's designed for. That's what it works best for. And you want to mix that into your butter. And you want all of these grains to be separated and coated in rice. In rice. No, we're not coating rice in rice. We're coating them in butter. But we want to make sure they get separated and all the grains get coated. And stirring is going to be really important. We don't have to stir every single second. Like, it's okay to leave it for a couple minutes at a time, but stirring is going to be really important during the cooking process, mainly because you need to be breaking down all of that delightful, rather delightful starch in the rice. And you can only do that if you are stirring. That's how you break down the rice. So we are going to get a ladle. We are going to use our thing. And what we're going to start doing is we are going to add liquid. Okay. I'm going to bring this closer. I can always throw it back on the heat. We're going to start adding liquid. We're going to add about a cup of liquid. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to let that liquid boil. We're going to let that liquid come to a nice boil. And as we're doing that, I am going to go get, there we go. I am going to get my sauce. So I have our homemade tomato sauce here. We're going to put a little bit in just for flavor. You don't want too much, okay? And this is optional. You do not have to put the tomato sauce in. You can leave the tomato sauce out and just move on with your day and not use the tomato sauce at all. But I'm using the tomato sauce because we really enjoy it. Now we are going to time lapse until this liquid comes to a nice boil. Okay, it's bubbling away. Now we're going to set a timer for 25 minutes. We're literally setting a timer so we don't lose track of time. And over that 25 minutes, we're going to be adding this broth to this risotto, and we're going to be stirring it. But we're going to have to time lapse it because I'm not making a 40-minute video of us standing here, stir, stir, stir. So we're going to time lapse this. But when you start running out of liquid, you want to add more. Okay, you want to slowly add more liquid. And you want to make sure your rice stays off the side of the pans. You want your rice to stay submerged in the liquid. And you want to mix it. You don't have to be like aggressive about it. You need to keep stirring regularly, not constantly, not every single second. But you do need to make sure you are mixing your rice here just to break down that starch. It doesn't need to be every second. It does need to be with some regularity. All right, we're going to time lapse, and it's going to take 25 minutes for this to turn into risotto. right, that has been just over 20 minutes, so we still have a few minutes left on our timer, and this is when we're going to add some other ingredients. We haven't added anything to make it hot yet, so we are going to add about half a teaspoon of hot pepper flakes. So if you don't like that much heat, you don't have to add that much. And you can reduce heat at this point, right? You've been adding all your liquid. You should have used pretty much all your liquid. If you have any left, you might want to add it, but you might not need it. Kind of depends on the humidity. But if you have any left, this is a good time. Reduce your heat to low. We're also going to add about 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. A little more if you like more heat. A little less if you like less heat. Cayenne really jazzes this up. And remember, we added tomato sauce, which is the orange hue. Now we're going to add between half a cup and 1 cup of mozzarella cheese. More mozza if you want it creamier. And we're just going to stir that in and let it all come together. It'll take a couple minutes. There we go. It's coming together, and we're just giving it there's 3 minutes left on our timer. You don't have to use a timer, you can do it by eye, but I'm using a timer because it makes my life easier. Oh, that's looking good. So you don't want it soupy. When you pull, now this is not fully finished yet. It needs another couple minutes on the heat. But when you pull something through, it should fill not quite instantly. It should flow like lava. Okay, so you should be able to, you shouldn't be, when you drag it through, you should be able to see the bottom of the pan briefly, but it also shouldn't stick. Like it shouldn't, when you pull this through the middle of the pan, it shouldn't stick on either side and leave a huge trail. It needs to flow and fill that trail back in, right? But you don't want it flowing so fast that it's soupy. So this needs just another couple minutes. We're going to give it 2 more minutes on the heat till our 25-minute timer is completely expired. Then we're going to plate it up, go over to the counter, see how it looks, and give it a taste. You can, if you want, add protein. So you can add some chopped chicken, some pan-fried tofu, some pulled pork, whatever you have. Whatever you want. You can add protein to this if you like. The base recipe doesn't really have protein, but you can add protein to this if you like, whatever protein you have. You could also add in a handful of vegetables if you wanted to. I prefer not to because when I have something that's hot, like spicy, I don't necessarily want to cloud that palate. That's because I really love heat. I really love just that burning sensation of hot peppers. So I don't want to impose on that with a bunch of vegetables and protein, but you certainly could if you wanted to. All right. This is getting really close now. You see how it's still flowing, but the flow is slowing down. We are really close. So let's turn the heat off. We're about 1 minute away from our 25-minute timer going off. We're going to turn the heat off. We're going to plate it up, meet you over at the counter. And just like that, we have a delicious hot pepper and mozzarella risotto. I hope you enjoyed making hot pepper mozza risotto with us. It was a joy for us and we love the taste. Again, the tomato sauce is optional and you can add any different proteins and vegetables that you like. And you can adjust the heat based on your preference. That's about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. Let me know if you enjoy spicy food as much as I do. We'll see you tomorrow.